All right, welcome everyone. The All American Prepper coming at you from the bunker. We got Sergeant Beast Larson here. We're going to be doing a podcast pretty soon, and he can talk more in detail about it. But we're going to be doing this twice a week, and we're going to be doing a podcast, and because this is a serious situation, everybody's running low on money. People are doing things that they normally would not be doing. And so everybody needs to be aware of the economy, the way it is, and all that it's getting dangerous. So listen up because we got a true professional man here. And actually, we're both professional security, but the beast has dealt with some savages. So, all right, there you go, beast, and give him the screen. All right, show's yours, my man.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Sergeant Beast Larson. Steve is my first name. I got the nickname Beast in corrections, but I'll get to that here in just a minute. My background really quick. I'm prior military. I was in the Air Force, was on the emergency service team. We had nuclear weapons. So I got to do a lot of SWAT-based entry into buildings, vehicles, buses, airplanes, kind of like the old SWAT movie. You know, everybody's seen that movie. I got out, I got into police work up here in Kentucky, did my time, did my career, got on another SWAT team, had a great time, became a sniper on the SWAT team, and that was very interesting. If you go back, I think our first or second show we did a couple weeks ago, I was talking about an incident, a sniper incident, being on the roof and watching the guy, our local famous tattoo artist. I always start off with this American flag show. The Prepper and I are patriots. We're such patriots. We're beginning this podcast he was mentioning, the Prepper and Beast Hour. Every Wednesday night at 8 Eastern Standard Time, we're talking about some different times. People work different shifts, different schedules. Life is really hectic. So we're kind of going to look and get some data and absorb some feedback on best times for people, lunchtime, earlier morning, afternoon. And the days of the week are different. So before I say anything else, thank you everybody for coming out with us tonight. We're so glad to have you. Now we've talked about this is our fourth week in a row. Home defense, and you need to go back and watch these things in home defense talking about developing skills, how to listen, how to smell in your home, how to navigate through your home. I'm sitting in front of the garage door. How to navigate with your eyes closed. And the importance of this. Somebody comes in, the bad guys come in, they cut your power, you're in the dark, it's in the nighttime, you got to protect your family. So we're talking a lot about security issues at home, outside, in the vehicle, traveling. Going to finish up a couple little things tonight with training partner right here. This is called Bob. It's a body opponent bag. One of these rubber guys. So he's got my bandana on. He's water-based, water or sand-based. Now, when I was teaching self-defense to police, and I've taught for 27 years now, when I started back in the early 90s as a baton instructor, Monadnock PR-24, OC spray, and then getting into fighting, handcuffing, ground fighting, my wife bought me this and some other things that you'll see throughout our podcast. But he's been a great asset to me for training. Great enough, over all of these years, it finally caught up to me, and I had to have spine surgery this year, but I'm okay. Pepper and I, in our podcast, we're going to talk about a lot of things, not just security, not just home defense, not just pressure points, and some striking I want to talk about here, as we finish up vehicle safety and attempted abduction. But we're going to talk about preparing food in the woods from the creek. And one of the questions I was just telling him before we came live, my wife has celiac disease. And I want to talk about some different things. Some like her, the strict vegetarian. I know the prepper, go out, set a snare and catch some animals, cook them up. Some people, where you want to talk about different diets and answer questions about that, how to prepare for that. I am 100% prepared in this outside environment. In my car, in public. The first video I talked about somebody trying to carjack me down in Lexington, Kentucky. But if you put me into the woods where I have to eat and survive, I can drink the creek water. I know not to drink where the cows go pee, but there's a lot of problems that I have inside the woods. So this journey, the prepper and I, we're going to take you through, and we're going to answer questions. Post these questions. Talk about a lot of stuff with us. Give us ideas. Can you hear me okay? Because the neighbor just turned on a lawnmower.
Yeah, you
Yep, we're hearing you loud and clear.
coming in
Okay.
good, brother.
All righty. And that's All American Prepper and Little Miss Prepper there. That's the other two voices on here. So we're going to talk. We want you to be able to survive. And are we going to talk about politics? If you want to. I know the prepper does a little bit. He talks in his lives about, and I do, it's very important. The future is very important, and it's going to be dictated in November. And there's been conversation about civil war. So next episode, I'm sure we're going to spend some time talking about this civil war, those two words. But let us know. Put some questions in there. They'll write them down. We'll get them up. You have to boil the water. Well, if I'm running in the woods and I'm hiding and I see the creek and there's no cows peeing in the water, I've got the water, then I got to start a fire. And the prepper and Little Miss Prepper is going to teach me how to get a spark and how to get that fire going. Because when I run away from my house with my family, I got guns and machetes and bullets, but I'm not thinking about lighters. I need to adjust my first aid kit, I'm assuming. I need to have some striking, some matches, some lighters, whatever. And I know you put the matches in waterproof bags, waterproof containers. These guys are going to tell us how to do that. But we got to know. You just don't know what's going to fall from the sky. As a police officer and a military guy in the Air Force, I've been to 3 plane crashes. It's terrible what I've seen. But you just don't know what's going to fall from the sky. Whole different subject. But anyhow, I'm going to shift the camera prepper here over here to about the Bob, because I just want to real quick. Well, I need to get a little bit closer as I can kind of talk. So if we go back in time just a few minutes, it's the Bob right here. It's my dummy. He's got my American flag hat I usually wear. Imagine he's right inside your wheel well, getting ready to attack or take your child. Now I'm going to stand this way. Okay, I'm going to hold this so you can see. A couple pressure points you need to know. Right here under the nose. See this right here? That's called the infraorbital. That's a great place. Put your finger, your hand, palm heel strike that right in that nose. What do they teach in self-defense classes? Self-defense for women and for people classes. Take away their breathing, take away their sight. And I'm sorry, this is the opposite on me. I got to move left when I need to go right. Take away the breathing and sight. You hit him right in the nose, that's going to affect his sight. You ever hit anybody there, prepper? Or maybe I shouldn't ask that.
Oh, yeah.
You've thought about it. You've thought about it. Okay, yes.
I've hit them there. I ain't even going to lie. On this channel, you're going to get truth, logic, and common sense. And yes,
Truth,
I
logic,
have
all
hit
right,
people
yeah.
there.
And I've hit some people there too. I'm gonna take my tie off now here because I'm about to get my hands on. Infraorbital, right under here, which is this right here. Couple fingers right behind that chin bone called the hypoglossal. You get right behind there and shove them fingers as high as you can go. So imagine, it's very painful. So imagine he's trying to reach in and grab a child from a car. If I come up to grab him, even my thumb, and shove it up in here like this, you want his eyes to cross. You want his skin color to turn pale white and sweat on his forehead. That means he's in pain. I've tested that out. I know this. Right here, the temporomandibular joint, right here. This runs down to my favorite brachial stun. Now, y'all remember in the first show, I told you I hit this on myself, knocked 2 vertebrae crooked, went and got an x-ray of it. 6 months later, I hit the other side, knocked it back. My neck moves again. Right here, brachial stun. Somebody's trying to take your child and you come up. You can open hand, you can backhand, you can punch. Right below that ear, you want to hit that thing as hard as you can. You'll knock people out with it. hitting them just like this. The muscles. Right straight down here. The neck muscle, right straight down, called suprascapular strike. You can come up from behind, from the front, from the side. Imagine his arms out holding a child right here. That's your child, your baby from your car. And you come up and you do that. You need him to let go of the baby. Hit him really hard, be prepared to catch the baby. Hit him really hard. That's the point of this. Make people sweat when you hit them, when you use pressure points. This right here, called a brachial plexus tie-in. This is where when you shoot a gun, a shotgun, it kicks you, hurts you really bad and bruises. Come across, punch him, punch dude right in there. A good hard punch. What that punch does is that makes that arm turn into a wet noodle. I was working shift one day. Started shift 4 o'clock. 4:20, I get a phone call from dispatch. Police officer, police dispatch. We could just use mace. Yes, we were talking about the mace, brutal impact. We talked about the mace in the last show. But I was at the hospital. Get a call. We're in briefing. We're just getting ready to leave, go out to our district. And the dispatch tells me my wife and my daughter, who was about 18 months, was in a car wreck, had crashed in a bridge. They were coming up to do a few things and meet me at 6 for dinner. So I go down there to the scene. My wife is not all cut ass, not what I expected from the type of accident. Car was totaled. Guy was watching over. He crossed through traffic on the interstate, through the cars, hit the guardrail, the side of the bridge abutment. Nobody got killed. I take my little daughter's like 18 months, put the car seat in the police cruiser. We go up to the hospital. I'm in the hospital. Now I'm telling you this story because you never know in life when this kind of incident's about to happen to you. And I'm in the hospital and something went really wild and wrong. I'm sitting there in my police uniform, waiting for my wife to go in x-ray, holding my baby. We're just talking, the nurse coming in. Next thing I know, how hospitals are, I'll just kind of show you this for a little bit, this little circle. You got inside the circle here, you got all these chairs in the booth, and it's like a table. And then the rooms are out here, like sunflower. So all of a sudden I see this man. Now, this happened 25 years ago. So I'm in my early 30s. And coincidentally, I just finished a 2-week instructor school about fighting techniques and ground fighting. So I was just like, still fresh off of 80 hours of training. I tell the nurse, stay with my wife and my daughter, keep them in the room. Let me go deal with this naked guy. So I walk over there and I said, sir, what are you doing? What's going on? And he says, I'm hungry. I said, well, you can't be around the hospital naked, brother. You're scaring people. You're scaring me. Let's go back over. So I grab his arm, kind of escort him over there like we do. Got him back there to go sit down, and I'm telling him, what are you hungry for? I said, I'll run down cafeteria. It's not the normal hours, but I can at least get a sandwich, get you a Coke and a Snickers. And
we got a question here for you.
Yeah, I'm going to get to you here in just a second. And as soon as I go to sit this guy down, he swings at me. I duck. He misses me, hits the nurse standing right behind me. I come up and kick him in the femoral nerve, which you can't see, the inside of the thigh. I kick him right here. Pop him, brachial stun. Nothing happens. I'm like, oh, man, my go-to didn't work. So then I kick him in the low abdomen, punch right here, this brachial plexus tie-in, spin him around, handcuff him to the bed. Just like that. 2 punches, 2 kicks, he's done. But I had been through that for 80 hours of dealing with this. You just never know. I'm in the hospital with my wife on a car wreck, and I end up in a fight. Okay, let me get close so I can see this. My ex is following me and harassing me. I tried to get a restraining order. It was denied. He's 400 pounds and 6'4". I am 130 and 5 foot. How do I defend myself? Okay. The the first thing you said, the restraining order was denied. I don't want to get really personal with you. Only share what you want the public to know. But the restraining order, why would the court system deny it? Does he work in government in any way that he's got buddies pulling strings for him? That's the first question. The next question, or the next kind of to talk about being 406'4", and the 400 pounds, how much of that is muscle and how much of that is not? Because it makes a big difference where if you had to, where you would hit and kick somebody. Now,
He's mainly fat.
mainly fat. Okay. Thank you, Trevor. Remember the things that are legal and check with your law. The OC sprays. A lot of states now are starting to ban brass knuckles. And I don't like that. I have some brass knuckles. The judge sympathized with him. Okay. And I'm just trying to wonder why the judge sympathized with the big grown man. You know, judges and 20 years in police and being in court, they tend to side for the women's side. But think about the OC spray. There's a website that I buy stuff from called Swords, Knives, and Daggers. They're very, very affordable prices. That's where I get brass knuckles and that little stun gun from. And I've had that stun gun, I believe, all 3 of our past videos, Prepper. We can get a link to her after the show. About $16. They have keychains, Kubotan keychains they call them, that have it's almost like sticking keys, but it has 2 pieces that stick out like this. You can hold in your hand for defense if you need to. Now here's something else that's important. I'm flipping the conversation from defending yourself to testifying for yourself for a second. Now, based on his size, 6'4", 400 pounds, against you, if he falls on you, that is a big problem. That is a big safety risk, and that does escalate. In the police laws and statutes and training, we talked about escalating force. Size was one of those characteristics, alcohol, drug impairment, some obvious things, but the size of the other person can legally allow you to escalate your response because you don't have the ability and the strength to deal with 6'4", 400 pounds. So we go back to number 1, he's stalking you, but number 1, don't ever get in a place where he's within 10 feet of you. And I'm guessing this with his size and described, he can't run and catch you. But don't let him get close to you. Keep distance all the time. Keep your cell phone, get some safety tools, the mace, the little things you can put in your pocket. That's kind of the obvious things. Keep those with you. Have some phone numbers built to your phone, to the police department, the emergency numbers, the non-emergency numbers. Put them on some speed dial and memorize them. I'm trying to see if there's some more comments talking about what we're saying here. Okay. Inside of the neck. Okay, in less than 4 seconds. Okay. If he does get close to you, you got to think, let me scoot back. You got to think if he's going to be in the front of you, on the side of you, or in it, or coming behind you. Remember, he's in front of you. If he can't see or he can't breathe. Let me take the shirt off here, my dude. This would be my criminal dude here. Now, let me lower him one time. Okay, I'm 5'9". This is about 6'4". And if you're 5 foot, so you're down here. Really hard to reach these things up here. So your target area is going to be from the diaphragm down low abdomen. Now, I've got family, kids, everything, different everything. I don't say anything. I don't body shame anybody. I've exercised my whole life, had spine surgery. I don't exercise anymore. But one thing that I've learned in fighting people and fighting in the prison is bigger people like that, and the prepper said he's mostly fat. I punched a guy one time in the abdomen as hard as I could, and I felt like my hand got stuck. Now nobody get mad at me. Prepper said it's truth and honesty here. My hand kind of got stuck, and that was a problem. And I learned not to do that again. So you got to think the body type. Fighting is tactical. Think of the body type. You also know this man, this soon to be ex. You know his weaknesses and you know his strengths. If he's got long arms, it's easy for him to grab and keep you in close. You don't want to be in close. He'll bear hug you and suffocate you. So you got to stay out of his arm range. If you happen to be in there, it's got to be this diaphragm. You got to hit him right in here. Right here, the solar plexus, diaphragm area. You got to get the wind knocked out of him. Groin shots. I don't like to tell people to use groin shots because people are always on drugs and alcohol, so they don't feel it. They don't, your pain is desensitized with drugs and alcohol. So groin shots don't work. But the femoral artery, the inside of the leg, if you can get a punch up in here or not, or a good punch, knee strike or kick right here to the inside, that femoral nerve, if you got cut right there, you bleed to death. That's the nerve. That's the place I'm talking about. Or inside the kneecap. So if he happens to come up in, you can soccer kick him like this. Can you see my foot prepper? Good old soccer kick to the inside of his knee and blow his knee out. If he's coming to harm you and he's in front of you, that's the best choices you got. Take his breath away right here, a low abdomen. You get a good shot right here and he starts sucking for air. If he bends all the way over, he's still too big for you to grab him and throw him down, but you might be able to hit him and knock him backwards. If he bends over, you got an uppercut or a straight punch to the throat. So what I'm saying is you bring the 6'4" down to your level. Take his breath away, take his knee away, get him down to your level. That throat punch, just open hand, fist, whatever you need to do, because he's probably going to try and kill you or cause serious bodily harm, the kind that you don't recover from. You keep those ailments the rest of your life. That's what serious bodily harm means. Bring him down and do that. If he's on the side of you, up underneath the ribs right here, right to that lung, good hard shots right there. Good hard punches. Get to the side of him, get him like that. You're going to take his breath away. And then right here, what I'm doing is kicking right at his knee. He's probably not going to be in front of you turned around, so you really don't have to deal with his back.
She does have OC spray.
He carries that?
No, she has OC spray, and she has a dagger.
OC spray and a dagger. Well, one thing the prepper and I talked about in the first show a month ago was wasp spray. OC spray tends to spray, depending on the kind, 10 to 15 feet. And remember, we talked about practicing with this. Spray it out in your yard, kind of get the idea, maybe go spray a tree, kind of just get a little bit of that whiff. You need to know what it's going to do, how it's going to smell. But wasp spray will spray 22 feet in a good stream. You splash that wasp spray right in his face and he's not going to be trying to hurt you. He's going to fall on the ground and be hugging the ground in his face, wanting some water somewhere. I hope in a way I can answer. I hope this is helping you a little bit. I know you've thought about this. No such thing as a fair fight. Yes, Michigan. Somebody's stalking you and they're your ex and they're trying to make a problem. And, we're not going into the whole court details or anything, and, children involved, but this is life damaging. And, Prepper, I forgot to bring the book out and talk about it. The officer survival, officer perception, surviving danger. We talk
I put
about
the link in the description of the
link.
live.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a link in the description.
And my writing partner messaged me about 10 minutes ago, Timothy Amdahl. He said he's on here watching now. As a YouTuber and talking about correction stuff, that's how I met Tim. And he sent me a book and asked me if I would read it and do a review. I read that book in 2 days. I couldn't put it down. And we'll share this stuff, these links with you next week. I came out, I got him set up and everything, and got my American flag tie on. I forgot the book. But in that book, we talk about this. And the second book Tim and I wrote together is called Why People Kill. And there's a chapter in there, and it's not killing people physically, dead to go to the funeral. It's how people kill you mentally and emotionally the rest of your life. Because there are things that can happen. And inmates and criminals, these guys, they wait. Some, they can be an inmate. They're just not incarcerated yet because they think and they act like one. And this guy sounds like he does. Yes, I'd rather be judged by 12 and carried by 6. Hey, Michigan, we talked about that. We did, agreed. But they say, I told this to my wife yesterday, they say the exact one thing after being around you and studying you that just mentally and emotionally cripple you the rest of your life. And it can be just as simple as calling you stupid 25 times a day. Stupid, the word nothing. You'll never be anybody. And then they verbally pound this into your brain. And they're trying to kill you like this. That's what people do stalking. They're trying to stalk and intimidate and threaten like this. I hate stalkers. I beat a few of them up as a police officer, and in working in prison, I beat a lot of them kind of guys up because they would try and do that to the new officers. You get a brand new 18, 19-year-old officer, put them on the floor in a max security prison full of lifers that there's no rules because you can't punish them. They're never getting out anyhow. So they want to prey on people. Well, prepper. The word enforcer, that's probably a good word to explain it. I was the one that kept our people safe and kept them in line and kept them away. They accused us officers of being a gang. They accused us of being this formal entity. So I decided to have the title of enforcer does that sound fair enough?
Hey, Sarge, did you read in there in my, what's it called? My community where I had a run-in with a guy that tried to rob me, and I'm sure you heard of Grady Judd, Sheriff Grady Judd.
Yep.
Well, Sheriff Grady Judd calls me the enforcer.
All right.
That's literally what he calls me, is the enforcer. You can look in my community. There's a whole write-up. I posted it in there to where, what the whole situation that Grady Judd, he wrote about it and put it on Facebook. So yes, there has to be an enforcer. That's just straight up. Somebody's got to man up and be the enforcer. That's the rules of the jungle and the rules of life.
That is. Okay. Just some quick things here. Working in the prison, working in police, you keep distance, but these guys get in your space. Somebody wanted to know about seeing a move. You're talking to an inmate and they say something, and I had inmates say he said, I got HIV and I'm going to bleed and infect you. As soon as he said it, that's what I did to him. Because he just put me in immediate threat, danger, menacing, they call that, of catching his HIV. So I hit him. And they called me in the office. Guess who won the conversation? I did. Because I taught use of force. Brachial stun, folks, right here. Palm heel strike. Remember I told you my 3 go-to moves? Brachial stun, a palm heel strike over the eyebrows, because where the head goes, the body goes. See how the body goes back? And then number 3, the Gerber slap. Turn him around. Can you see the base of the neck right here? You just hit them right there, and they drop everything in their hands.
Let's laugh out.
So if to the young lady, if the 400-pound man comes up and the guy want to know about a grizzly bear comes up and wants to bear hug you, and they're trying to squeeze you, right there, start smacking that. Guess what they do in UFC fighting when they're on the ground and the guy's hugging him? They start hitting them right here, and they tell them don't punch them in the back of the neck, so they move up to the head. Why are they doing that? They're stunning every time they want to hit the back of that. See, I'm not making this up. It's on UFC. Everybody knows UFC is great, right?
This one.
This brings out another point to the young lady and her soon-to-be ex that's 6'4" and 400 pounds. It's not 100%, but in my experience, the people that brag about, I'll shoot them, I'll off them, they do this, I bust a cap in them, all this trash talking. Those are the ones that sit on a concrete stool or a plastic karate stand out here and never use it and talk and run their mouth. And then the body parts start to grow from eating bad food, and they never get up and train with this guy. The people that are serious about doing something are the ones that don't run their mouth all the time. So think about that imbalance in life. And you know who this guy is. You know his reputation, how he's like. Think about that. How many of you have went out and bought boxing gloves or MMA gloves, even ordered UFC gloves for $100? I didn't get those. I got the other ones that were $50 and don't say UFC. And they sit over there in a box and they don't have any dirt on them. You can't buy training equipment and not use it. And just because you go and buy that glove and you can put it on and tighten it up real tight and get the wraps on there, I can get mine out next time, get them out, show them to you. It doesn't mean I'm a great fighter because I bought the gloves. It's what the person does with them. If you see my gloves and they're all filthy dirty and got a tear in them, you know I've been hitting this thing forever. So you think about the image, think about what people are presenting to you, and you kind of, that's why Tim and I wrote that book, Officer Perception. It's the perception they give. When a guy's got a shirt that says Bruce Lee on there, or Kung Fu, and he's got David Carradine's picture, you know, Prepper and I, he's old enough to remember David Carradine and the old Kung Fu show, Grasshopper. If they got a shirt like that, they probably know something. If they're really quiet and they just look at you and just take in what you're saying, and they don't really flinch about the world, they're getting ready to do something. But if they all stand around and they talking like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take your purse, woman, and hit you with your purse, and I'm going to all this and all that, that's a whole lot of talking and shaking and moving. They're nervous. They're not the kind that's ready to start the fight. Don't come and get in my space and say something to me. I'm going to smack you. And this is how I've been, well, I'm 57 for my whole life. Because my first fight, I was 6 years old and hit my neighbor and broke his nose. So I've, like the Prepper, I've had a habit of doing things. I paid about $300 for this thing. That's about, you can find them anywhere if you're interested in that. Heavy bags, the speed bags. Folks, you're preparing, and the Prepper's going to talk. You know, as we do this podcast together, the Prepper and the Beast Hour, you need to be ready mentally, emotionally, physically. Fighting, you need to be ready. Weaponry, you need to be ready. Food and water, you need to be ready. Electricity, you need to be ready. Transportation, you need to be ready. Every day, I watch these news break stories because my wife got me watching them. And, you know, when you have, you know, spine surgery and you got plenty of time to sit around and read the news, every day I read something about China and nuclear weapons or something. I see that word nuclear weapons every single day. I went to the Air Force in 1985, went into the police academy, got assigned to my base in February of 1986. That's when I saw my first set of nuclear weapons on the rack going into the B-1 bomber. So I've been around that word nuclear weapon since 1986. I've watched the videos of what happens when it goes. I've been through training classes and all kind of stuff. I'm really surprised in 2024 that one of them hasn't leaked and went off. I don't mean a power plant leak over by the river somewhere. That's happened all the time. I'm surprised nobody has gone past and done it, but it's conversation, and it's an election year for our president. All this Ukraine stuff going on, and you got to be careful of all this fake news and AI news and all that. But the reality of it is, and this is a Civil War talk we're going to have more next week. What are you going to do? I told you 3 airplanes fell out of the sky. I went to those as an investigator, as a police officer. When it's not an airplane, it's something big. Do you know the radius of nuclear weapons when they hit? If it hits 10 cities in the United States, we're in big trouble. We're going to be like one of those movies that we keep watching, where everybody's underground and you're going to travel 150 miles and hope you find one person, and you're going to find desert.
We got a question here for you, Sarge.
Okay. How can I not look like an easy target? Good question. Thank you for asking that. My wife, I told y'all I'm 57. My wife's a couple years younger than me. She's got a nerve disease, had several foot surgeries, and she walks with a limp. And we talk about this, about being a target. And for instance, we always wanted to go to Africa and safari and see things, or go to Paris, go to England. But the world has changed, and I said, you know, I'm ready to fight, but it's just me. But if they see you and I together, they're going to think, well, she walks with a limp, that makes her a target. She's over 2025, doesn't look it though, looks young. But they know that we are that kind of number 2 as a target because of our age. Being an American in another country makes you a target as well. So how do you make yourself not a target? One thing is to not dress and stand out where everywhere you go, the whole universe stops to look at you, like some TikTok influencers are trying to be. Blend in. I have no hair, usually wear a goatee. I usually wear shirts that have American flags on them. So if you look at me, you're going to know exactly I've been in the military and I've done something. And I have this kind of stare when I'm walking around and I'm shopping in public. That doesn't make me an easy target. People look and they're like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that. That guy's kind of, he's got a couple scars on his face. That's a clue. I should wear a shirt that says I like to headbutt people. Then I won't be a target. Nobody will come around me. But how you dress, you know, the car sometimes, but nothing wrong with having nice clothes and dressing. Nothing wrong with having a flashy car. You work hard, you pay for the car, you earned it. Just don't be loud and yelling and screaming as an adult like kids. That draws a lot of attention. The crowd that you're with, and the prepper, he goes out, he does the bouncer work. He goes to the bars and he'll tell you, the dudes with the loudest mouth draw a lot of attention. Don't be around. Don't hang out with that dude that's the loudest guy around. I'm trying to see your hat. There we go. So appearance, your car, the volume, who you're around are the obvious 4 things about not standing out to people. Number 5 would be your actions. If you grab a skateboard and slide down the escalator in a mall, you're going to draw attention to yourself. If you got a skateboard inside a building on a sidewalk, you know, or you're in shopping carts, there's a lot of adults that do. I'm not saying you would do this. Those type of actions, running in stores, things, they draw a lot of attention to yourself. Just kind of come in and observe. Take them first 30 seconds every time you get out of your car, you go in a door, just observing, seeing what's around you, and blend in. Adjust really quick to whatever environment you're in. If everybody's loud, then you got to come in loud. If you go to a restaurant and everybody's having a good time and the ball game's on and everybody's going like this, a UFC fight's going and got your favorite person going, you got to be that way. So it's really reading situation, reading environment. Military, they call that situational awareness. They got a whole big book on it. We just call it blending in. There might be a time, I got a logo on my shirt and I'm sitting kind of opposite a security company. They've closed down. I used to do some stuff with them a couple years ago, but I just like this polo. But it's the appearance of this. But this word has strategic and threat and protection words on there. So if I need to go somewhere in public, certain places, I'll wear this shirt. Everybody knows, man, this guy's got this kind of shirt on. He must work for the government or something. I intentionally dress sometimes to get people to stay away from me.
I usually wear a tourniquet and a big knife, and with that tourniquet and that knife, any seasoned criminal knows, man, this dude's got a tourniquet, not just a knife. He might know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah. My book partner was just sending me a messenger I was reading there. And Tim, he worked in 25 years in Illinois corrections. And, Cook County up there in Chicago. He's dealt with all those kids. I'll just say kids. We don't use the word punks or anything, do we, Prepper?
Sometimes.
Some of them are punks. I've done some great reaction videos about them attacking officers and stabbing each other. But he's dealt with some really bad people coming out of Chicago through the state prisons. Tim is also a U.S. Marine Corps vet. Good veteran, good man. I don't know if I'm answering your question. I'm just trying to tell you the obvious and unobvious things about not standing out. It kind of just depends on you. I tell my wife we go out, and I showed you before, I always have my gun under my shirt. I got double magazine pouch. It's all concealed. I got a permit. I got a LEOSA permit for being retired police. So I'm good to go with anything I want to carry. I tell her, put the red lipstick on, curl your hair, do everything, be beautiful, be yourself. Don't let the world take that from you. Just be yourself. But herself also is a blending person and aware person. She's always looking around. And we've just never been those ones. And one day we're going to talk politics, Prepper, because I got to tell people how I got in, spent 2 years in politics trying to make the law enforcement community better. But I did. I sucked it up. I got into politics, did my thing. Prepper knows all about this because I told him, hey, I'm going to run for political office. And he was like, go for it, bro. This was a couple of years ago. But my wife and I went to this big political event, and it had the governor candidates, and it was the month before my primary. Big kind of deal. And I had somebody sponsor me, paid $1,000 for me to have a table of, me and 9 other people. And we moved with the people in Kentucky, Rand Paul, and all the big names. We mingled with them, and within 30 minutes, everybody in that place knew who I was and knew who my wife was. But it wasn't as much our appearance. I just had on a suit, a blue suit, white shirt, and red tie. Had the American, had the look, red, white, and blue. She just had a pretty dress, but it was her smile and her voice that was infectious, and everybody was like, who is this woman? We've never seen her before. So we just did our thing, and you can just go and blend in, and just as easy as we blended in, we also disappeared because guess what I was doing? 5 trips to the buffet on the other side of that wall. So I politically, professionally mingled, and I ate 5 plates, and I'm proud of it.
That's what I do.
I had the
I'm
kitchen
gonna get
staff
my
vote.
money's worth. At a buffet, I'm gonna get my money's worth. You can believe that.
I slid my card, and the kitchen staff, they all liked me, and they voted for me coming May. But anyhow, we'll talk about that. There's a lot of things. This Civil War that he talks about, I've been in politics for 2 years. I've worked for military, for government, for state, for local government. I've seen a lot of failures, and I see a lot of things that's about to blow up in our face, like the Prepper's talking about. And, coincidentally enough, my books, we talked about this. They're on Amazon. Officer Perception, Surviving Danger, and Why People Kill, Looking Deeper for Answers. Timothy Amdahl is my partner. I'm Steve Larson Books. Tim has wrote about Civil War stuff. He's wrote about politics more than once, and you'll find all of his books on Amazon as well. And he really talks about what's going on in Washington, D.C., in the White House and around it. and it's been going on. We're just right about at the eruption of the pot of chili. I think that's the nice way to say it.
It's going to get medieval, in my opinion. And, you know, as far as the nuclear talk, look, man, you know as well as I know, there's nuclear bombs all over this planet, and it is only a matter of time till someone uses them. That's just facts.
I mean,
And
it's not a, yes, that's not a secret. It's 1985, 86. I got assigned to a base in Texas. We had, I can't even remember now the pads, maybe 6 B-1 bombers on alert status. When Lockheed made the B-1 bomber, they originally made 100 of them. Now imagine even if you take out, you know, some mechanical error, you know, some planes need an oil change or they blew a tire. You put 75 of them things up in the air with 24 nukes, man, you've done tore the world up.
yep,
And that's just coming from one base, and we weren't the only place that had nuclear weapons in the United States.
well,
They
that's
got
what-
as many nukes as we got Hershey bars with almonds.
that's what sets America apart from the other countries. We got nukes, and we've used them.
Yeah,
But,
it just needs the right person that's not afraid to use it again.
Yeah, and it's going to happen. There's just, you know, it's just like when you got 2 bullies that live on the same block, eventually they're going to fight. That's
Yeah.
just the way it goes.
All right, we got new people showing up. Hello to everybody again. Thanks, Prepper and I, and the Little Miss Prepper. We always are thankful for everybody that's on here. It's great for you all to show up and be interested in safety for yourself, for your family, for the country. We talk about cooking. We talk about the home defense. We talk about defense in the woods. There's some questions for the prepper in the future shows. And he's talked about possibility of just going straight blackout into the tent world, into the woods. Safety around there, you know. One thing is setting snares and getting animals to eat. How do you eat? How do you survive that way? Food and water. How do you protect yourself? How are you going to deal with if nuclear weapons go off and all of a sudden there's a red dawn over here? You know, we're not all paranoid. We're realistic. We're realistic what's going on. So we've got some questions. How are you going to set up that without electricity? Without having, I don't have any claymores. I don't have any explosives. I've used black powder before where I took a cloth clothesline and dipped it in gasoline and stuck it in there and lit it and ran, and it blew a big hole in there and it about gave me a concussion, and I learned not to do that again. That 5-gallon bucket of black powder makes a loud bang. Makes a big hole.
A 5-gallon bucket with some potassium nitrate soaked in diesel with a little bit of gasoline will go boom in a big way. So, you know, if they take away the guns, which is anti-constitution, but only the law-abiding citizens, you know, will give them up. The criminals will not. And not only that, if you get someone like me that, you know, knows stuff, I don't need a gun to cause some serious damage. So, you know, we're really in a fight for our life. We're in a fight for America. The dollar is devaluing at an alarming rate. We are literally headed for a civil war. This country has never been as divided as it is now. And this inflation and then AI is going to take so many people's jobs. It's really it's going to be a bad situation. Like I said, you're going to have normal law-abiding citizens doing things that they normally would not do, because if you have children and they're hungry, I mean, most people are going to do whatever they got to do to make sure them kids eat. That is the way it is. Now, If you follow this channel and listen to our podcast, I will teach you how to eat without having to rob anybody. But you know,
Oh, that means I'm supposed to teach them how to rob somebody.
well, you know, people
No,
will
there's
do that before they let their kids go hungry. They will.
yeah, yeah. I don't have to teach that. It's in a movie on every channel right now.
You know,
I'm going.
that's another that they're literally training people. You know, when people see things repetitively, they're conditioning their mind to
Yeah.
do stuff like that. I believe that's got a lot to do with a lot of what's going on, man. Is people's minds are literally getting conditioned to do such things. I mean, the world is falling apart and it's not getting any better. If people do not become self-reliant, if they do not listen to you and learn how to defend themselves, because crime is up going through the roof and it's underreported, and just going to the gas station is dangerous. I won't even let little Miss Prepper leave this house without at least taking a big dog with her.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's all I'm going to say she's taken with her, but you can figure that out. But you know, it's just dangerous, man. So everybody needs to get vigilant. They need to listen to the Sarge and learn these moves, because I know for a fact, because I MMA fight, that punch to the back of the neck will knock somebody completely unconscious. Completely. Right there, just like you said, right there to the back of the neck. If you just 5 pounds of pressure, let somebody 5 pounds of pressure across the back of your neck, your vision will literally go tunnel. So if someone throws a Hail Mary and hits you right there, you're going down, bud, and you're going to sleep. And then if you're on concrete, you're going to be eating face first at concrete. And I have seen people get knocked down and the punch didn't do it, but when they fell and hit their head, I seen a guy hit his head where you pull up and park your car on one of those things that stops your tires. And that was it. That was the end of the story for that guy, man. So, you know, now is the time. Now is the time to get ready. Don't put it off. Like you said, don't just buy the gloves and let them sit there. Just having it ain't going to do it. You got to use it. You got to train. And you don't have to be a world champion fighter, and you just be the best that you can be. And if you really put in the work, that's usually going to be enough. Because I work security as a bouncer, I see it all the time. And you know, and then a drunk thinks he can fight 4,000 times better than he can. And, you know, that liquid courage, you know, that's when they get crazy and hurt people. And for me, working as a bouncer, I hold myself a certain way. You know, it's the way I hold myself and the way I represent that. Don't nobody mess with me, because they know, you know, they just can look and go, this guy right here is confident. And criminals are looking for a soft target. They don't want somebody that's going to put up a fight. They just want somebody that's just going to give them what they want. You know, they don't want to have to fight for it. If they did, they would have a damn job. You know, I mean, but so.
Yeah, I had a message while you were saying that there, Prepper, came to me from Tim, my writing partner, and making the point, if the Secret Service can look the other way, and I don't even know what to cluster F this thing up. How in the world you don't see a guy on a roof? That whole thing is, and you know, and I was a police sniper. You do pre-stuff. Now, as a police officer, I worked in the county where Cincinnati International Airport is. Presidents landed all the time, and they drove by. Bush Senior, Bush Junior. They come by in a limo. We have the traffic shut down. windows rolled up. Bill Clinton, he stuck his head out and waved to us. He had the window down. He wanted to see everybody. And the Secret Service hated that. He said, I'm a man for the people. I won't say anything else about him because whatever happened and all that stuff's his business. That's in the past. But I've been around the presidents doing things. Their helicopters came. We were out hours ahead of time when the president came.
We got a question for you, Sarge.
Excuse.
Got a question here for you, Sarge.
Go ahead.
Somebody said, what is a fatal chest?
Failed
I
chest.
can't-
Fail chest.
What is a fail chest?
I've never heard that expression. I'm not sure what they're asking.
Yeah, me neither. I've never heard that either, so I don't know. But back to what you were saying, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just saw a question up there. But,
No, you know,
you know,
it's good.
that's ridiculous. I'm just a bouncer, okay? And there's no, if I was pulling security detail, there's no way in hell someone's getting within 130 yards of a potential president candidate with a long barrel on a roof. There's just, in my opinion, that's absolutely impossible. I just can't. There's no way in hell. If I was working security, that would have never happened. And like I said, I'm not a Secret Service, so I smell a rat. Something ain't right with that right there.
Yeah, I'll go into the detail on this on the next video. But as a part of my politics after running for office, I did not win. I can say that. I got a lot to explain. But I got hired by a governor candidate, and he had a big event. And I was hired to be his bodyguard, his head of security, and chairman of volunteers. And he had a huge event. I arranged the parking, et cetera, the EMS. I did an operation plan. I had drones come out. I had maps done. I met with the fire chief more than once. We had the landing zones prepared. We had armed security guys come in. It was from this company. This shirt is. They're no longer. They actually went to the airport, picked up the guests, brought them there to the event. I happened to be the only one with a bulletproof vest on, but I wasn't the only one armed. He advertised, and we had over 15,000 people there on a 160-acre farm. And security was tight when they came in. There were a lot of things that changed around the VIP tent. The guest of this event, who I was responsible for protecting and nothing happened, was Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Candace Owens, and a whole bunch of other people. But those were the four main speakers. Those were the four main people that we protected that night. There was nothing. We had long guns ready in place, counter sniper stuff. But everything was set up. Bomb dogs came from the Cincinnati airport because I got friends everywhere. They brought it out, checked it out right before anything important. And the crowd was there early because there was a music band, and nobody cared about a bomb dog being around an event because of who was going to be there. They expected that. So that was the norm. Shows up in his cruiser and jumps out with his dog, and they check out the stage, the area, the VIP. He come over to me, give me the thumbs up. We talked briefly. Out the door he went. A few minutes later, here come the VIPs. We took care of business. We didn't even get paid for this.
Oh, wow.
None of us got paid $1 for security for that event involving two members in the Trump family. Nobody got a scratch. I got a thank you from both of them.
They should have broke y'all some bread. They should have broke y'all some bread because nobody died. That's my motto. If I keep you alive, like when I work security, when I work as a bouncer, and I got a crew with me. If nobody dies that night, my crew gets a free shot from the bar. I mean, they getting broke off. I mean, you got to grease the wheels, man. You got to grease the wheels.
Well, I agree with that, but we acted like you did. When there's a need and a calling for volunteers,
Yes,
We always stood up and volunteered, didn't we?
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
these guys, it gave them some business exposure to say, hey, we were the protection for these guys. You know, I was on salary working for this governor candidate, so officially I was paid, I was on salary, it was my duty. But we got a couple thank yous and went home that night, went home to my wife and went to bed and curled up, and no scratch on anybody. So the day was done, and that's important. Secret Service guys, you know, and they were real quick to want to fire somebody. And then there was talk about firing the sniper that shot the guy. And then there's, well, it's expected the lady's going to step down next week. What do you mean? What are you doing? Are you just filling that Brinks truck full of money to give her as a parting gift? You know, for her to keep her mouth shut and her to leave? That's what they were doing. Somebody had to call a realtor and say, well, she helped us screw this up. Well, let's arrange for her a house somewhere, you know, with a pool and a pond in case they go fishing. They had to call Ford and get a tractor, I bet. You know, I'm exaggerating, but I bet I'm not. I bet there was a parting package for her to get her rear end out of office. That's how government works now.
It's getting bad and it's getting worse. I mean, literally, if I was Trump after that incident, I would fire the Secret Service and I would hire private security. I would literally hire private security because I worked for private security. I still do, but I mean some really hardcore private security before I married her. And I would get a hold of, I know a few people who I would get a hold of, but I'm not sure exactly what company I would go with right off the top of my head. I would get a hold of Eric Prince and ask him who'd be the best man for the job, because Eric Prince, that's the owner of Blackwater. Of course, the name has changed several times, but I would ask him, hey, man, who should I hire? Because Secret Service ain't doing it. And for another thing, you know, if I was guarding the president, my men would have ballistic shields also. That way, if something happens, shield wall, just like Spartan 300, and also get his ass off the X. It took him too long to get him off the X, man. And just imagine if that shooter, if it wouldn't have been an AR, if that shooter would have had a 30-06, then holy crap, then they'd be coming after 30-06s. You know, I mean, it's beyond ridiculous what's going on in our country. And I think that we, the people, we're going to have to take this country back. And, you know, one way or another. So I said, I want everyone, and I don't care what side of the party you're on. That's up to you. That's your privilege. That's your right. But for God's sakes, vote. And if you don't vote, then I don't want to hear you complaining. If you don't vote, then don't complain. That's me. But honestly, you know, Kamala, she said the first thing that she would do was do an executive order to take away everyone's guns. Well, the problem with that is we got this pesky little thing called the Constitution of America. And when someone goes against the Constitution, I am sorry, but you're not on my side, because people like me and you know, we literally take an oath to defend that Constitution. And anybody that wants to alter or take away the Constitution, well, that's treason. And I'm sorry, but we cannot be friends. That's my personal opinion. And I'm allowed to my opinion, just like anyone else is. I got a question.
Cooking with Mike D, AAP. How much do you charge for personal training?
Okay, I got a question here. A whole lot. It's all cool to what you want to learn. Somebody's asking me how much I charge for personal training. It's really according to what you want to learn. You know, you want to learn knife fighting? Well, I can teach that. I'm an edge weapon specialist. You want to learn close quarter combat? You want to learn it's whatever you want to learn, you know, because I charge by what materials I have to use. because I really enjoy teaching, just like the Beast, just like Sarge. He loves teaching. That's why he's doing this YouTube, man, because he wants people to learn this stuff. Yeah, and I agree with Grateful Preps, NJ. And I just got a feeling, Harris was the most unpopular vice president ever. How in the hell does she even have a chance of winning the presidency? There's only one way, is if they pulled the same crap they did last time. And that's really all I can say without getting in trouble on here. But you know what I'm saying without me saying.
We don't want to get shut down.
Exactly. But you know what I'm saying? I'm saying it without saying it.
Yeah. Anybody that's missed it, the Prepper and I podcast show, we calling it Prepper and Beast Hour. That's the official name of our podcast. We're going to do this twice a week. We'll continue Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we'll let everybody know. So y'all got to subscribe to our channels. Y'all please subscribe. I'm sorry about my English. My writing partner, Tim, has that English degree, so I have to be very careful what I say.
Same here, brother. Same
Don't forget to subscribe. All American Prepper 13. You'll find him on Rumble as well. All American Prepper 13 on Rumble. We'll be going live very soon. It'll be simultaneous to both. I'm Sergeant Beast Larson, just like you see on my name. On Rumble for me is different. It's Steve 468 Larson. The 468 was my first badge number as a police officer. That's how the number came, in case anybody wanted to know. If you didn't want to know, tough, I'm going to tell you anyhow. But subscribe to the channel. Share this with everybody. I post in a bunch of groups. I post on a link of a lot of things. And, one of my favorite links group is the human trafficking. We talked a lot about that last week. And we posted numbers. If you go back last Wednesday night to see the show, the phone number, the text, and I apologize, I had it on the tip of my tongue and I can't tell you right now. I know hashtag 988, which is actually the number symbol on the phone, is the number for mental health. If you're suicidal and you need some help, and I want to bring that up. The first thing I saw in the news this morning from a guy who's the author, and he writes about mental illness. He's a retired police officer. We lost an officer today to suicide. So I wanted to make sure that I put the number out here tonight. 988. We've the Prepper and I have been through some things. Some of you on here that are making comments have been through some things. My writing partner, Timothy Amdahl, all his books that are on Amazon. As a career correction officer in the state of Illinois, he has seen and been through things. I'm not saying we have demons, but there's memories and thoughts and images, experiences, a lot of them involving death. I'll just keep it clean, make it PG version. But we've seen some horrific things, the three of us have. And none of us have $1.5 million, dollar contract like, some of the Trump children do to have a podcast. We're doing this and not getting paid to help you. And that's the difference. People are survivors. They do one of three things. They go off, and get a hold of some senator or whatever and get on their coattail so they can be paid millions. They do it for free, or they struggle. They fail through mental health that's out there or not out there, and they end up harming themselves. But the three of us are here. We're here for everybody that's watching. We're here for you all.
And we appreciate super chats, We appreciate people to support the channels. And we understand times are tight, but most of all, we want you to listen and learn and stay alive, because this is some very valuable information. And times is every day is getting worse and worse. I am a Christian constitutionalist, and I truly believe that we are in the last days.
And
Yeah.
also, everybody needs to, if you have not seen the video that the guys did last week, Wednesday, it was a very good video, and also a lot to do with, we posted the number for human trafficking. And I remember the text of it is 233-733 be free was the text for the human trafficking. That was a very, very good show that they put on, and all the stuff that Beast taught on vehicle safety, even with ladies or men with kids, getting them in and out of the car safety with anybody. So that was a very, very informative show last week, and if you did not check it out, go check it out. It's on our lives.
Yes. And someone asked, what do I charge? I'll tell you what, whatever you can afford, oh, wow. Look at there, Sarge.
Thank you so much, Grateful Preps. Thank you.
Thank you so much. See, that means so much. That means so much to us because, we do a lot. It's a lot of work doing these channels, man. And we put a lot into it. And we really appreciate the super chats. Thank you so much. That means the world to us. It really does. And, what I charge to train people, whatever you can afford. I just like training people. When I hear a story that someone used what I taught them to save themselves, well, then that was worth it right there. That's really more than anything anyone could do. But thank you so much for that super chat, Grateful Preps, NJ. We appreciate that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I talked last week in that, and I shared something personal. And this human trafficking, it's not always a stranger in the van. And I talked about my daughter and the guy that's a baby daddy. I have to be polite. But the situation that happened, and ultimately the night she called us to come get her, the fight she was in, how she looked, the blood that was all over, that wasn't hers, it was his. I taught her how to fight, and she whooped his ass. Whooped his ass. Capital ASS. And it's like the prepper says, and this phone call and this thank you for teaching me this came from my daughter. It's come from policemen. It's come from a lot of people in corrections and civilians. But when your daughter does this, and I was proud of her. I was happy to see what she had done. I can imagine, table stuff was broke. But he was going to hit her baby with a 2x4, a 10-month-old baby with a 2x4. And she done opened up the whole can of whoop ass on that dude.
I have a question, and you don't have to answer if it's too personal, but was there any law? I mean, did he ever get put in jail for any of that, or did he get caught, or anything like that?
The police did a domestic violence report. He was the truck driver. He disappeared. There was discussion, and I wasn't a part of it, but it was my daughter. And let's see, she was about 21, right around there, 21, 22 at the time. But there was actually no charges pressed because it was a misdemeanor assault, and he was going to end up with a fine. And with no criminal record, he wasn't going to go to jail. So in discussion with the police officer and the crime scene photos he provided and the prosecutor down there in Georgia, they decided not to do a misdemeanor warrant against him. They kind of looked at it like she really got the upper hand and did better than the court could. And she said, I don't want to. So they did not press charges.
Were you ever able to get your hands on him later?
Don't answer that.
Nope, I'm sorry.
Don't answer that.
Actually, I can answer that. And the answer is no.
Okay.
I put it in a trustworthy hands of my daughter, and that night she did enough for both of us.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by it's nice to hear somebody say thank you, and I did what you told me. I
It
did good.
really is. It really is. That, when I teach MMA, because I had my own MMA school till the came around, and I had to close. Supposedly for just 14 days, and it turned into months, and I couldn't keep paying rent on the place, man. I didn't have no students coming there, and
Yeah.
so I lost my school, and that was a dream come true when I opened that school.
Oh, I
And
bet. I bet.
when I had to close it, man, I was heartbroken, and I mean it still hurts, because I had a lot of good students, and they were doing so well,
Yeah.
so it really did break my heart.
And I hope this cheers you up, prepper. But those that get into school that enjoy the class, probably 95% of them continued, even if it was at home with family or friends. They continued what you taught them, and they're still doing this now. That's something that once you get in, you don't let go of it. You don't stop. I didn't. I started this when I went in the military at age 18. I only stopped this year because of spine surgery, and the doctor told me to stop. Put a bunch of screws in my back and said stop. That's what stopped me. It also got me there. That
Yeah.
and a bunch of strongman stuff.
Yeah. Hey, man, at least you got some good stories and some good memories. I mean,
Yeah.
and some life experiences, because just because your back's messed up, well, now you'll handle situation differently, but you can still handle it.
Yes. Oh yeah. I don't have to move. I'm really quick with my arms and my legs, and I'm still a little bit flexible. I don't have to bench 400 anymore to still knock you out.
And
I know I've done enough of that, and I was the knockout artist in prison. I knocked out a lot of people, broke a lot of jaws, and I'm not bragging about that. The inmates attacked officers all the time. I just won, and because I was older, I was 48 when I started in prison. Conversation for another video. They first day in the job, I said it's another video. They had to test me. Told the young blood, hey, you got a new old guy. You make him bleed, or you're not getting in. Well, he was the one bleeding. And I was smiling and threatening the rest of them.
well,
But I'm ready. I'll always be ready. But
I know
before,
what Jesus spoke in parables, and so I'm just gonna speak in a parable. But as long as anyone here can pick their nose, they can defend themselves.
yeah, I want to say something real quick. Michigan Outpost want to
Oh,
get my daughter in self defense, but they won't until they're 8. Now I've got some friends um, that one of
Alpha's
them popped me in the head really hard. He was testing for his 3rd black belt, but they really want people to be around the age of 8 or 9 for 2 reasons. Number one, they need them to be able to read good, to be able to read the material when they go home. But also by the time they're 8 or 9, they also have a couple of years experience in class, so they know how to behave, communication wise. They know when to listen, when to talk. They know how to act right. They start to develop a little bit of maturity, and that's what they officially tell people why a lot of companies don't want 4, 5, and 6 year olds. And it kind of drives me nuts. I see videos, 3 and 4 year olds wrestling around and putting each other in chokeholds, and I'm thinking, what are they going to be doing at 10? What are they going to be doing at 14? They should be playing in the mud when they're 4 years old and picking their nose and
yeah.
eating stuff out of the grass until their mom tells them to stop doing that. They don't need to learn how to defend themselves and do a rear naked choke at 4 years old. I do think that is a little bit young, just because don't take that part of life away from them. Play in a swing set, go play in a creek, pick up crawdads, be Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, live a life. Let your children live a life. There's a little bit you can teach them or get them information at that age, but they don't need to be in a gi in a karate tournament somewhere at 4 years old doing a rear naked choke. I think that is too young. Because
I've
then the
been
whole
fighting
life.
for money. I've been fighting for money since I was 14 years old.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. Prepper might have different.
No, kids need to be kids. Kids need to be kids, and you know, you can teach them to throw hands. You know, I mean, it's really self-explanatory. And but I mean, basically, who's a knife expert? Even a 4-year-old kid can cut a steak. Now you can improve on that, but you know, my kids. If you look on my channel, you can see where my children were on Nickelodeon, where they were on other news channels, where my kids were very young, and they were the first girls ever in America to win boys division Roman Greco state champion wrestling. They fought in the Olympics in judo, and that's just to make it to the Olympics was a hell of an accomplishment. Now,
Mm-hmm.
speaking about that, you know, I have to bring this up because it is just driving me nuts. That I loved watching the Olympics. Love it. You know, because my girls, they were in the Olympics young. And when I seen that opening ceremony of the Olympics, the wickedness, they're not even hiding anymore. I mean, they were mocking God. They were, I literally, and I am not kidding, and I am not too proud to say this, when I saw that, I literally got on my knees and started praying because I knew, I'm like, my God, they're putting this right here in front of for the whole world to see. They're not even hiding it anymore. I mean, people, if that is a taste of what's coming, it's going to be a rough ride, and you need to prepare accordingly. That's really all I can say about that without losing my temper, because that was just evil. I don't know if you saw it, but it was just pure wickedness.
No, I heard about it. I went back and looked at a couple things, and then we didn't watch any Olympics.
No, after that, I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not watching. And then I felt bad for all the kids, you know, that train their whole life to be in the Olympics. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't support it. I'm not doing it, you know. And then I had a buddy of mine. I was on a guest on his channel, and he showed the closing ceremony, and it was almost just as bad. It was terrible.
Yeah.
The world is becoming a very wicked, dangerous place, and people just need to get ready. I mean, just get ready. The adversary is not playing. Okay, look here. Somebody put
I did not know that. The guy that made that got struck by lightning 3 days later and died.
Well, you know, I never hope that anyone gets hurt, but you know what? I actually hope that's true. I really do. I hope that's true, because we as Christians are under attack. And, you know, when, you know, Jesus said, sell your garments and buy a sword. I mean, it's in the Bible. I don't make stuff up.
Yeah.
That's what it said. So, you know, you can take it how you want, but that's what he says. Sell your garments and buy a sword. Yeah, they ruined the Olympics, man. It was.
Yeah, I was reading that comment there. Yeah, before we get gone here tonight, we've been on about an hour and a half, you know, enjoying everybody. Thanks again for being here.
Been
and
great.
again, for the Prepper and the Beast Hour, that's going to be the official name of our podcast. where we're going to talk about everything that doesn't get us kicked off YouTube. We got a couple rules we got to follow.
Yep.
So we can nod our head and some things we won't say, we won't show. You know, we can use the word poke, but we can't use words that start with N and end up with a EEDLE. We can't say that stuff. And, you know, I almost died when the SARS-2 came out. My wife and I, they shocked her and brought her back to life. You know, that was a rough time. And that's right about the time that I actually met the prepper, was right after that incident.
Well,
But
that's the
yeah,
thing about us
everybody,
being on Rumble. On Rumble, we can talk a lot more freely. So we will talk about things on Rumble that we just cannot talk about here.
yeah. But don't
Yeah.
don't forget to subscribe, and we'll keep posting, we'll keep sending it out there, and you'll start seeing it. You know, we'll get a Facebook page started and get it going here, so we can get some following that way and have some announcements, things like that. Working on some future ideas, shows, topics, conversations. You know, put them in the comments. Things you got, questions you want to know about, and like I said, next show I definitely want to talk about, you know, food ideas for being, you know, celiac disease, for vegan, for stuff like that, and how you're going to be outside. I mean, I know there's some things that the vegan diet, vegetarian diet is going to be challenging in the woods as well. So myself and others, we need to know, Prepper.
I got you.
So we're going to get to it. So everybody subscribe. All American Prepper and the Sergeant Beast Larson on YouTube. Share this. Bring. Let's expand the group and the crowd. Would like to have thousands on here and a lot of questions, and just go. And go. Prepper and I and Little Miss Prepper, we all three have a lot of energy and a lot of passion for what we do. But thanks again for joining.
All right. And again, I want to thank Grateful Preps for the super chat. And we're going to wrap it up. So you know what we say. Stay ready. Stay dangerous. Stay frosty. And have a blessed evening.
Good night, everybody.